Hello and thanks for joining me on this quick video. I wanted to show you these pop-up cards, and yes, I do make them all myself for my Etsy customers, so I wanted to make a video to show you the manufacturing process. So I sell customized engraving plaques on my Etsy shop, and I've been putting them in organza bags, so those light organza bags. I'm trying to get, well, since we've started the shop, I've always been non-plastics, so we're using manila envelopes, we're using organza bags, paper, tissue, wrapping paper, which is all combustible, organic. So that's a good motto to have. And you can see here, the main thing here is it's a card. So I'm using 250 GSM thick card. I've tested it with 180 and 220, and I think you can get away with 220, but I wanted it to feel a bit more luxurious, so I used the 250, and it's card paper. And here you can see I'm cutting the straight down the middle. I set up the template for my messages on each side and put a few dotted lines where I'm going to cut from. I'm using my paper cutter, so I like this one because it doesn't have a big base to it, and it's a lot easier to use. So you can see here now easily I've cut it in half, which makes my two sections. And I've done it a couple of ways. You may have seen a couple of videos where I was playing with the idea. I spent like 2 days designing the concept of it, and I use a little butter knife just to crease up the folds, because there are two important folds on these. So once I got into the flow of them, it was quite easy to make. I made a batch of about 500. So yeah, we'll be sending out my engraving plates in these pop-up cards, which will hold the engraving plaque in between two pieces of card, which will keep it from scratching in the post. And also it's a bit nicer for the customer to open it and see the engraving plate pop up and present itself to them. It's a bit of extra work. Obviously, it's a bit of extra cost involved, but I'm going to absorb that cost as part of my postage and packaging. So we're using a good quality card here. I've used an ink printer to print onto this, and I'm using a slight bit of tape, which is double-sided tape, and this is the type that doesn't have the residue of plastics in it. So it's like a mix of PVA type glue. I might make a separate video about this because I bought a box of these especially for this. So you can basically I cut them in half to reduce the amount that I'm using. Again, this is just trying to reduce the overall footprint of anything that's contaminants basically and non-combustible. Use my little mini guillotine, which is a really old one, but it works nicely to cut them into pieces. So these are going to be 3 individual fronts and backs. So you can see there, I cut that off, and then I'm going to stick those two together like a bit of a plane, you could say, and that does work very nicely. So it holds it enough that it's got a good seal, and it actually does do a nice job. It feels like a good quality item. And in the center, I know customers have asked for personalized messages, which I normally print on my labels, so that's where that would go. At the moment I've put a motto of the day, like a bit of a quote of the day sticker there, but I left the inside purposely blank so customers that want to give this as a gift can include their own message, and I'll stick that inside there for them. So it's a nice little customization for the customer as well at no extra cost. So that's a nice little option there. You can see it holds a plaque nicely, and you can just slip the plaque out and you've got the card. I might put care instructions on that. So I think it's important to show the manufacturing process. So I do videos for all my customers when they buy from me and they see a video of their product being made. And this is another one to add to my YouTube diary, just so that I can see my progression. I started from wrapping up the plaques in a bit of tissue, then we used organza bags, and now we're going fully customized with like a handmade card, pop-up card, just for our customer to enjoy their custom engraved plaques. So keep an eye on these videos. I'll do a few of these as my journey progresses, and this is for my Etsy shop. I'll see you on my next video in this series.